Hey everyone, welcome to Reality TV News Update, the place where you never miss a moment from your favorite shows. The former winner speaks with Julie Chen Moonves about the twist that sparked outrage among fans and show alums. Reilly, a legend on Big Brother, was eliminated in a shocking twist in season 27, but she is entering the jury house of the show smiling and wearing a killer red dress. Thursday's episode of the CBS competition series saw Reilly, who previously competed in Season 12 and won Season 13, sit with host Julie Chen Moonves for an exit interview to unpack her surprise elimination, the result of a competition dubbed the White Locust, which Reilly failed to complete. She stated, "I saw my life on Big Brother flash before my eyes in that hamster wheel, reliving the maze game. I knew I was toast, unfortunately." Reilly expressed some regrets regarding the ways in which her actions caused the competition to not go her way. Chen commended Reilly's performance and acknowledged how she had not been up for eviction and was running the game from the start of the season in July. Reilly expressed her gratitude for the opportunity to return to the long-running series and play one more time, citing her husband, Brendan Villegas, whom she met on the show, and her two daughters as gifts she received from her time on the show in spite of becoming the first jury member in a twist ending. "I'm so grateful to come back. My favorite show is it," the veteran of reality TV stated. "I'm a huge fan." Longtime fans of Reilly may be relieved by the note who were upset by the way her story ended. Viewers began to express their outrage on social media after learning of Reilly's fate via the live feeds of the show. Soon after, show alumni like Villegas joined in, criticizing show producers for departing from the show's traditional mix of competitions and social games that resulted in an elimination outside of the weekly vote. Numerous fans speculated that the outcome would have an effect on ratings. However, the season moves on with the eviction of Clifton Will Williams in Thursday's episode. Next week, we'll only see the airing of 2-hour episodes on Wednesday and Thursday, since the Primetime Emmy Awards telecast will take over its usual Sunday time slot. Thursday's episode will also feature a double eviction as the house guests' numbers dwindle to the final 3 ahead of the season finale on September 28th. CBS broadcasts and Paramount Plus streams Big Brother. The familiar Big Brother house suddenly seemed smaller than it had ever been as Reilly held on so tightly to the edge of the nomination chair that her knuckles turned white. The bright studio lights bore down on her, hotter than usual, or maybe it just felt that way because for the first time in a long time, maybe ever, Rachel didn't feel in control. It was eviction night on season 27, and Rachel, a veteran, a winner, a legend in her own right, sat beside 2 newer players who looked far more nervous than she felt she should be. That was the strange part. A few weeks earlier, she had entered the house with confidence and almost certainty. This was her territory. She knew the game, the strategy, the pressure. She had survived worse. But tonight, something felt off. Rachel's heart began to pound, not the quick flutter of nerves, but a deep, echoing thud that seemed to reverberate through her chest as Julie Chen Moonves appeared on the screen, calm and composed as ever. "House guests," Julie began, "it's time to cast your votes to evict." Rachel inhaled slowly, forcing a smile. She told herself what she had already told a lot of other people: prepare for the unexpected. Still, something odd happened as the first house guest stood to cast their vote. Her mind drifted. It wasn't intentional. It was like being pulled under by a current, which was sudden and impossible to stop. The room faded just slightly, and in its place came flashes. Her first season. She saw herself younger, fiercer, louder, walking into the house in those signature red extensions, declaring she wasn't there to make friends. The memory was vivid, almost too vivid. She could hear her own voice echoing, feel the confidence that bordered on recklessness. Brendan. Then a soft shift in the memory, and suddenly she was laughing in the backyard, the sun setting behind them. That moment, the beginning of everything. Not just a show, but a way of life. Marriage, family, a connection that reached far beyond the house. Rachel blinked. For a moment, let's return to the present. A new vote was cast. Then the memories rushed in again. Winning, the confetti falling around her, the roar of applause, the indisputable, and triumph mixing into something electric. She remembered thinking, this is it. This is the peak. But the flash didn't stop there. Seasons again. The pressure of living up to a legacy. The whispers. Was she still the same player? Could she do it again? She saw moments of brilliance and moments of doubt. Cullining in the kitchen. Strategic conversations in hushed tones late at night. The subtle shift in how others saw her. Not just as a player, but as a threat. A focus. Rachel's chest contracted. Another vote. Another name is mentioned. Her name? She wasn't sure. The present and past blurred together. She felt like she was watching her own life on fast forward. Every Big Brother moment compressed into seconds. Triumphs, mistakes, alliances formed and broken. Tears she swore she wouldn't shed. Some she didn't mind, and some she did. In the midst of it all, a developing realization. This could be the end. For the first time, Rachel allowed herself to truly consider it, as a fact, not just as a strategic possibility or a calculated risk. She might walk out that door tonight. Her breathing quickened. "Rachel, are you okay?" one of the guests spoke softly. She nodded automatically, but inside she wasn't, because suddenly it wasn't just about the game. It was about everything the game had given her, and everything it might be taking away in this moment. Her loved ones. She pictured Brendan again, but this time not in the house, in real life, waiting, watching, believing in her. She imagined her children seeing her on screen, cheering her on, maybe not fully understanding the game, but knowing their mom was strong. Was she? Rachel took a big inhale. "House guests," Julie's voice cut through the haze, sharper now, more immediate. "The votes are in." Everything snapped back into focus. The room, the lights, the lenses, the faces of her fellow players, some avoiding her gaze, others watching too closely. Rachel straightened her posture. This was the moment. Julie began reading the votes. 1 vote to evict, Rachel. A hint of surprise which she quickly covered up. 1 vote to evict, Mark. Relief, brief and fragile. Another, Rachel. Her heart sank slightly. Another, Rachel. The pattern was becoming more evident. Rachel experienced the same rush of adrenaline again, but this time not memories. Unmistakable, sharp and pure. She counted silently. This wasn't just close. This was decisive. Just long enough for the tension to dissipate like a burden on everyone's shoulders, Julie paused. By a vote of 7-3, Rachel, you have been evicted from the Big Brother house. For a moment, there was silence. Not in the room. The other house guests were already reacting, some gasping, some standing, but in Rachel's mind, silence. Then clarity. She stood slowly, almost gracefully, the shock not entirely gone, but no longer overwhelming. As anything, there was a strange calmness settling in. So, this is it, she thought. She smiled, a real one this time. She quickly embraced one of her allies and said, "Honey, you're amazing. Work hard." To another, no regrets, none. And she meant it. As she moved towards the door, she took one last look around the house. The kitchen where she'd argued strategy, the living room where alliances had formed and crumbled, the backyard where laughter had echoed late into the night. and for a split second the memories returned, but softer this time, not overwhelming, just hers. She stepped through the door into the outside world, the cheers of the live audience washing over her like a wave. Julie greeted her with a knowing smile. "Rachel, you mentioned earlier that tonight it felt like your big brother life flashed before your eyes. What was your intent with that?" Rachel laughed, a little breathless, a little emotional. "It really did," she admitted. "Sitting there, I saw everything. My first season, Brendan, winning, all of it. And I thought, wow, this might be it for a second." Julie nodded. "And how do you feel now?" Rachel took a deep breath, looking out at the audience, then back at Julie. Reilly sat frozen on the familiar blue couch, her fingers laced together so tightly they ached. The Big Brother house buzzed with its usual pre-eviction tension, but tonight felt different, heavier, like the air itself knew something she didn't. She had previously been here, many times in fact. Eviction nights, blindsides, betrayals, Rachel had lived through them all. She was the woman who turned chaos into strategy, who thrived under pressure, who made history. So why did it seem like her heart was sinking? Across from her, the other nominees whispered nervously, but Rachel stayed quiet. That alone was unusual. Normally, she would be campaigning, reassuring, calculating. Tonight, though, something in her gut told her the game had already shifted beyond her reach. The same poised Julie Chen Moonves appeared on the living room screen. "House guests, it's time to vote." Rachel forced a smile and nodded slightly, but as the first house guest stood and walked to the diary room, a strange sensation crept over her. It began as a tightness in her chest and swept upward like a wave. Then, all of a sudden, she lost her mind. She was no longer in season 27. She was back at the very beginning. First time through those doors, self-assured and unapologetically bold. She heard herself saying that she wasn't there to meet new people. She recalled the looks, some amused, others skeptical, and some immediately hostile. Then came Brendan. The memory softened. The chaos of the game faded into something warmer. Late-night talks, quiet laughter. The moment she realized this was more than strategy. This was genuine. The game had given her something no competition ever should. A life partner. Rachel blinked, but the memories kept coming. Her victory. Confetti falling. Her name announced. That overwhelming combination of amazement and awe. She recalled thinking that she had accomplished the impossible and dispelled all doubters. That moment had defined her, not just as a player, but as a legend. Another vote was cast in the present, but Rachel barely registered it. Her return seasons flashed by next, each one harder than the last. The expanding target on her back, the whispers. "She's too dangerous. She knows the game too well. You can't let Rachel get far." She saw arguments, some of them emotional, some of them strategic. Moments she stood her ground, refusing to be intimidated. Moments she wondered if she should have played differently. And beneath it all, a realization formed. She didn't just see this as a game. It never had been. It was a journey, one that had shaped her life in ways she could never have imagined. "Rachel?" She was pushed halfway back by the voice. One of the house guests beside her looked concerned. "You good?" She nodded quickly. Yeah, I'm fine." But she wasn't, because now the thought hit her fully. If this is the end, what happens? Not just for the season, but for her big brother story altogether. Her chest tightened again, but this time it wasn't panic, it was emotion. She thought about her family watching at home, Brendan, who had been present from the start, their children, who knew their mom is strong, fearless, maybe even a little dramatic, but always a fighter. Did she put in enough effort this time? Once more, Julie's voice came in. "House guests, the votes are in." The room sharpened back into focus. Rachel straightened her posture, slipping back into the composed competitor everyone knew. This was the moment of truth. Julie started reading. The first vote, to evict Rachel. A flicker of surprise crossed her face, but she masked it quickly. The second vote, to evict Jason. Okay, still in it. The third vote, to evict Rachel. Her stomach slightly dropped. The fourth vote, to evict Rachel. Now she knew. It was happening. The flashes returned, but not as chaotic as before. They were quieter this time, like images slowly moving through her mind. Laughing in the backyard, strategizing late at night, prevailing in competitions, losing faith, restoring it. All of Rachel's incarnations, the champion, the fighter, the strategist, and the emotional player, felt simultaneously present. Rachel, you have been kicked out of the Big Brother house by a vote of 8-2 votes. There it was. Final. For a split second, she didn't move. Then instinct took over. Rachel stood, her expression surprisingly calm. The shock was there, but it was tempered by something deeper, acceptance. She embraced her companions. She whispered, "Play hard. Don't waste it." To another house guest who had clearly voted her out, she gave a small, knowing smile. She advised, "Good move," and she meant it. Because it was. Even when it was used against her, Rachel had always admired daring play. She slowed down briefly to take it all in as she headed towards the door. The kitchen, the memory wall, the couch where she now realized she had just sat through one of the most surreal moments of her life. And then she stepped out. The roar of the audience hit her instantly, loud, overwhelming, electric. Rachel smiled wide, feeding from the energy the way she always had. Julie greeted her warmly. "That was a shocking expulsion, Rachel. You said it felt like you were back in your Big Brother days. Could you explain that to us?" Rachel laughed softly, shaking her head. "It really did," she said. "Sitting there, waiting for the votes, I saw everything. My first season, meeting Brendan, winning, coming back again and again. Everything hit me at once." Julie nodded. "Did you expect this outcome?" Rachel sputtered. She admitted, no. However, that is Big Brother. You can think you have it all figured out, and then boom, everything transforms. Her expression softened as she paused. "But honestly, I'm grateful. I was given so much by this game, not only a victory, but also my family, confidence, and story." Julie smiled. "And what does Rachel Reilly do after this?" Rachel's eyes sparkled with that familiar fire. She stated, "She continues to go. That's what I do. I don't stop." The audience cheered. There was no sense of defeat, only evolution, as Rachel waved off the stage. Because the fact that her Big Brother life had indeed flashed before her eyes this evening did not mean that it would end. It was to remind her just how far she had come. And knowing Rachel Reilly, this wouldn't be the last time the world saw her step into the spotlight, ready once again to expect the unexpected.